Welcome back to another edition, another scintillating, titillating, exciting episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting, a podcast where me, Jason,
and me, Jennifer.
I just realized in the script I didn't write out my... Anyway, it's a podcast where me, Jason, and...
me, Jennifer.
Have a few drinks.
And talk shit about our kids.
Ooh, I got some good shit to talk about. But first, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at A Guide to Poor Parenting, at all one word, Guide to Poor Parenting. Miss J, you want to talk about what we're drinking?
Oh, yeah. We're drinking Figment. It's a red blend wine we got from Trader Joe's.
Hell yeah.
We're like, we need to get some money from Trader Joe's. We've been shopping there the last few times that we've had episodes. Maybe we can get them to give us some money. Or some free wine and cheese and
Heck yeah.
stuff.
I'm going to have to go get some that pumpkin spice loaf you love so much.
No, thank you. No pumpkin for me.
I tell you what, I love doing the podcast, but doing them like towards the end of the year is so tiring because there are October and November and December is just packed.
Yeah.
We just have so much shit to do. Last weekend, we did the farm, right?
The Pride Parade first.
Yeah, did the Pride Parade, then we did the farm, then we recorded, and then we did a shit ton of your homework.
Yep. Yay.
And this weekend, yesterday, we did the Pride Festival, where we saw Eureka from Drag Race.
Yay.
And what else did we do? I think we did something else.
Yo, homework.
Oh, yeah, more homework. And then this morning, we did brunch, and then doing the podcast. We got ahead on the homework, thank God.
Yep.
So it was getting tiring.
Yep.
Well, now we talked about how our week's going. Let's introduce our new guest. He's a good friend of mine named Pete. I'm not going to say your last name because I don't want to. Oh, do you want me to say your last name?
You can try if you want.
Okay, let's see. I think it's, I didn't put your name on here. I can't remember now.
It's Casaboon.
Casaboon, that's it. It's like I have it in my phone. I just can never remember how to pronounce. I don't call you by your last name. I call you Mr. Casaboon.
Ooh, calling Mr. Casaboon.
But I met you because you and I did the improv class at Shenanigans.
Right.
And if any of our listeners remember Jessica and Kim from previous episodes, Kim and Jessica both run Shenanigans, but Kim was teaching the class with a friend of hers named Matt.
The best therapy I've ever had in my entire life.
It's a lot. If we weren't so goddamn busy, I would do more, but I feel like I just don't have time in the day. I love the classes, but like Zane and I wanted to do them, but they scheduled them so late in the afternoons on Sunday. Now it's hard for us to get dinner ready if we do it. So
well, it's important to have your priorities and to make sure that whatever you do brings you joy and not like a sense of obligation.
Yeah, I just miss doing the shows because Jennifer, I think you never attended any of the shows we did you?
No, I wasn't able to.
Yeah, it was during the week.
Yeah.
It was a free show, but they were a lot of fun. I always enjoyed them.
It was amazing. I actually have done some different improv at another. I was talking about one retreat I just got back from a retreat before that too, and in that we did this type of improv that was very healing, and it was amazing. So I would love to try some different types of improv besides just ones that are more competition based.
I never thought of that. Healing improv.
Yeah, that does sound like fun.
Yeah.
Is it just like rattling stuff off the top of your head?
So what you did was you told a story, and then 4 people got up and reenacted your emotions from that story. And you got to see somebody expressing your feelings through emoting and no words, just through whatever actions they did. Mm-hmm. And it was so incredible to both participate and see your story played out in front of you.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll teach a class at Shenanigans.
I've actually have the name of the instructor and was going to talk to Kim and Jessica about him possibly coming because he's more than willing to come to Huntsville. And
where's he located at?
He's somewhere on the East Coast. I think it's Virginia. I believe that's right.
Very cool. We talked about, now that they're doing the improv class for the kids, we talked about it for the kids, but I think you have to be 12 to do it, remember?
I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
But they love our kids,
Yeah.
so they might let ours just kind of...
Might let them squeeze through?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the bingo, the family-friendly bingo show they do every month, we always try and volunteer for it just because the kids can come and they like the popcorn and the bingo's fun. Although it's like Wesley still struggles with reading, so it's like he struggles doing the bingo cards, and Clea helps him, and it's cute.
And y'all just impressed me so much with your sense of family and what you've built here. I'm always so impressed when you allow me into your space. I'm always so thankful for being able to see that witnessed in physical form.
Well, we love having you over. We wish we would have you over more. We're just busy. And we're grateful you come over.
Yeah.
Are you doing any more of those shows anytime soon?
I think it's a practice tonight, so I'm planning on going, and then I'm in the He Said, She Said on Friday. I believe it's on my, at least my phone tells me a minute.
Fine.
What is He Said, She Said?
Improv show.
Well, it's like there's a movie that's showing, and you're like saying, you like make up your own script.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I think so, something along that nature, yeah.
We should do since it's October, we should
Hocus
do
Pocus.
Rocky Horror.
There you go.
Make a better dialogue than what they have. Even though I love Rocky Horror, don't judge me. I love it, but
So can I
tell
so
us.
on this retreat, I've never really done drag before at all, but the last 2 retreats, both of them have a no talent show. Mm-hmm. So on this last one, I was asked to participate in a skit between like Judy Garland and Barbara Streisand, and I was Judy. So I didn't know they had a drag closet at this retreat. So I went down there and I put on this gorgeous beaded dress, and I'm standing at the doorway waiting to go in, and this guy that works at the retreat said, "Hey, do you know Marlena Dietrich?" And I was like, "Well, of course I'm gay. Of course I know who Marlena Dietrich is." He said, "That was her dress," and I was like. Oh my God. I didn't rip it, but it fit like a glove. I was like, this is weird. 'Cause, I mean, it literally fit like a glove.
I gotta say, that must be nice to be able to be so skinny that you can fit into Marlena Dietrich's
I
dress.
looked kind of gorgeous, just saying.
Yeah.
And those legs, the doctor says they go all the way up.
Straight to your ass. You're a mess, Pete.
He checked.
I bet, knowing you, I bet he did. Lord, a mess, sir.
Yeah, I was at the law office the other day. One of the attorneys had been with the client, and she came up to me and she said, "Do you know what BDSM is?" And I said, "First of all, I want to say I'm proud that you came to me knowing that I would know what that was. I just want that to be a moment right now."
I was like, I am not going to get in trouble for telling you what this is since you asked.
You asked.
When's the first time you met Pete? Was it at one of the house parties we had?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. It was at when you had a lot of the improvers
yeah.
come over,
Right.
and they brought the White Claw, and
yeah.
you still have in your fridge. I
I love
think.
how everything is
No.
like alcohol central.
Yes.
No, we don't have the White Claw because John drank it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. But yeah, we had the fire going, and you had. I think there was like.
It was Ben and his wife, Pete and his husband.
And then the lady, the young adult book writer, whatever her name was.
I love her. Kalia's obsessed with her, but I can't remember. Oh, God.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the blonde lady. You know.
Yeah, of course we know.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's the one that brought the White Claw.
Jeez Louise, I can't remember. It's
Oh, my
crazy.
God.
Angela? Or...
No, it's not Angela. 'Cause
No.
Angela was in your class.
I'm sorry if you're listening and we don't remember
Shelley.
your name.
Shelley.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Oh, my
That's
God.
it.
I was going to be so like, Shelley, I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name. Has she been around lately? I haven't seen her.
No, I have not seen her,
She
heard from
moved.
her.
Shelley was a classmate of me and Pete in both the first and second improv classes, and then she's a young adult author with like several titles under her belt. But she also did part-time, I guess, to bring in income. Worked at Space Rocket Center.
As a
But she may have
counselor.
moved on because she's a nomad because she don't.
You
have
could tell that
Yeah.
she doesn't root in one place for very long.
Right.
But I liked her a lot. She was a really cool lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm just not good with
Beautiful
names.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming. But again, so we were going to talk about parenting with you. And I guess since you were a queer parent yourself and have a lot of experience dealing with your own identity, and since your daughter is, well, I'll spoil the ending. Your daughter is trans. You've had a lot of transitions in your own personal life. So
For sure. Yeah. So
tell us about how you became a parent.
Well, so I was very blessed to be married to a very nice woman for quite a few years. I was a late bloomer, so I mean I always knew I was gay, but I grew up in the late '70s when the AIDS crisis was just coming through, the gay cancer, and at that time homosexuality was still considered a psychological disorder. And having been a victim of abuse at home myself, I didn't think that gay was a viable option. So
Yeah.
I did the old pray the gay way. I became the perfect parent. I became the perfect father. I became the perfect husband. Became the perfect student. I just was friggin', and that's usually even like what my parents would say to me. That they would say, "You're just too blanking perfect." You know what I mean? And that's what they would. Yeah.
Do you have
seriously.
siblings?
Sorry.
Do you have siblings?
So my only sibling is my little brother has cerebral palsy.
Oh, okay.
He has to have 24/7 care, so that's my sibling, my precious little baby boy.
Is he still with us?
He is, yeah. So he just went to the ER, but he's okay. So he's back, just not feeling well, but still smiling as he always
So
does.
your parents were resentful of you being too well behaved and too good at everything?
Yes, yeah. I basically rebelled. I grew up. I always tell people I grew up in just a crazy house. I mean, my mother came to me, I think, when I was 9 and 11, and she said, "I'll get you any drug you want to try."
What?
So I rebelled and I became straight A student. I never cussed. I never drank. I never smoked. I never took any drugs.
Look at her now.
Oh, wow.
And now look at her. What happened to her?
She talking about BDSM, a coworker.
I know, right?
She's a hoe.
So, well, I am. I'm a mindful whore.
There you
Absolutely. You know, especially just coming back from a tantric sex retreat. Which was
There you go.
whew, life changing. But that was the biggest thing, because like growing up, I became sort of I numbed myself, like I wasn't really even present.
Yeah.
You know, it was through a process of destroying my own life in my early 40s and then having to rebuild it for who I really was, that I even discovered that I was alive and that I was a human being and that I had value and that I was able to make decisions for me that were just solely for me.
Right.
And having that example, I think, is the best thing for kids, because, we always tell kids, to live their own dream and to do their own thing.
Right.
But they learn through our example, not our words.
Yeah.
So to be a good parent, you have to be selfish.
Yeah.
You have to be selfish in the sense of you take care of yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
Can I get an amen?
Amen. I think they also, like, in that same vein, I think they also, like, if you don't respect yourself, they're not going to respect you.
Absolutely. And they're not going to respect themselves either, because
Yeah.
they learn those patterns of behavior of, this is how I get love, or
Yeah.
this is how I get attention, or this is how I get whatever in the world by how you do it, right? And if you walk through the world in this sense of being good in your own space and loving yourself and appreciating yourself and respecting yourself, then they will learn that by example, and they will just naturally pick that up.
Yeah.
Right.
So you little closeted gay boy being the perfect child. When did you
Perfect.
meet your wife?
So we both worked at Kroger together. Yeah, and she's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, And
When did y'all meet? Like,
oh,
how old were
let's
you?
see. So that would have been like 83, because I graduated in 81, so it was like a year or two later. So it was like 82, 83.
So Jennifer was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I wasn't going to say it.
Oh, I'm old.
I'm not aging.
I'm like Tina Turner. I'm timeless.
There you go.
Hey, you fit in Marlene Dietrich's dress. You're fine.
Yep.
So 83, you met the future Mrs.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You charmed her panties right off.
Yeah, I mean, we were very. We had a great family. I don't know. It was family, because I really didn't have family, and that was, I guess that was probably one of the most riskiest things for children that aren't raised in a loving home, is then they go out and do whatever they have to create that sense of family. And I was lucky that I found somebody we created a good family, but I could have created any kind of family just
True.
for the need of having a family.
Right.
And now I've discovered, like now at this point I find myself so happy to be alone and so happy to be in the presence of others, because I no longer need them.
Yeah.
They
Right.
now add to my experience rather than make my experience.
Right.
Yeah, as I've gotten older, I think I've always been. I love just alone time. Like, I'm happy to just be like, I need a little Jason time. I just want to be alone, go on a walk. I'll go see a movie by myself. I'm happy.
I'm the opposite.
Maybe a camera pointed at you, maybe a mirror. Oh, that's me. Okay,
No, I was
sorry.
like, I still have some body issues, so now that's
Well,
not me.
so I created my own OnlyFans for myself, and it's not to make money or anything like that, but seeing myself on camera, I was like, I don't look anything like what I thought I looked. I would so do that dude. Like, I was like, wow, because it was just this surreal moment of watching me and not really even knowing who that was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just appreciating and it's not that I have a big head. I don't think I look any more gorgeous than anybody else, but it's just like, appreciating my own amazingness.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not from a narcissistic point of view of where I need you to be less awesome for me. It's like I want you to be awesome too
Because
Yeah.
I'm awesome.
because I'm awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right?
Let's all be
Yeah.
awesome together.
Yes, and that's even more awesome.
Everything is awesome.
I was just about to start singing that. Can you tell we have kids?
Okay. All right, so 83, you meet the future missus. How long did y'all date for before you got married?
Probably maybe 6 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah, we were pretty much on the fast track of she was kind of in a situation. Her mom was passing away, and it was only her stepfather
Aw.
left, and they weren't close. So I think she was kind of needing to create family, and and I of course it is interesting. So I mean, I was so easy to fall in love with somebody because I remember sitting with my ex-wife in her room, and she offered to go get me a drink, and I was like, you mean somebody can get me, like I can be served, like that's something that can happen for me. Like I had never experienced somebody just doing something for me that wasn't transactional, where I didn't have to do something back.
Oof, that sounds...
When I say I was raised by wolves, I am very serious.
You were
Yeah,
not kidding.
definitely.
So that was just this moment of, so I mean, I just that being able to be taken care of like that, you
Without
know,
having to
pay for it in some
reciprocate
way.
it some way. It's just someone's doing something nice for you.
Yeah, just because they
It's-
want to, like it feeds them to feed me.
And that made you feel good, so that was like, oh, okay. And
Yeah,
then,
so
that
I was
kinda-
in, like
yeah.
I was in. You know what I mean? And so yeah, we fell into the American dream of, you work hard, you buy a house and you turn around, sell it, and buy bigger, and we just kept doing this over and until we ended up in this 5-bedroom home with one kid.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
You're talking about our lives.
Like, what the hell are we doing? Well, I had one kid now. You know what I mean?
We have two.
So there you go. See?
And and 3 granddaughters. So,
Right.
you
We
know.
had nothing, we
That's true.
And just and thinking that this, because you can fall into these very consumeristic sort of ideas of what happiness is, and
Yeah.
you can fall into those traps of, that's even why I became a really one of those Christian evangelicals that, oh my goodness, because I kept hearing this whole idea of, well, the Bible has all the answers. So I read the Bible 5 times from cover to cover and never found a single answer until recently, when I've gone back through my own spiritual walk, and right now I'm going for a master's of studies. And now I'm understanding what a lot of those texts were saying and the relevance of them and how they can help me to be more joyful in my life and bring joy.
Okay.
So, but I think we were really taught, especially as kids, especially as American consumers, that somebody else, we have to get everything through someone else or through some type of payment or through some type of physical trial that we have to do. And then we can find out that we are part of that source of God's love, and we could just be that. It's
Also,
changing my life.
TV shows kind of showed you what you should have.
Brady Bunch was
As,
my script.
Like, it
for what?
should
And then
be
we find out
this,
that
this,
they were
and
half
this.
of them were gay, right?
Right. So it's kind of, you see that, you have to have this big house with 2 cars with these kids, and you
Right.
feel like if you don't know love, you think, that's love.
That's what it
that's
looks
what I need.
like.
That's why I
what
have a
family-
5-bedroom house with 1 kid, because I saw it on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Fucking HGTV. Okay, so y'all get... How long... 6 months, you get married. How long did it take for y'all to get pregnant?
So that took a while. So it was when we built our first is when we were building our first house that we got pregnant. And I've heard people say that before. It's like we didn't have our mind on it, and we were like had our mind on other things, and then boom, she was pregnant. So we've been married about, I guess, maybe 3 years.
We all still working at Kroger's?
No, no.
I was like, how the hell are 2 young people buying a house? Well, back in the 80s, I'm sure.
We both were very lucky to begin working for the post office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for quite a few years.
It's I mean, American consumerism is ridiculous, but it's also kind of sad to see our kids are not going to be able to buy houses like we have been able to, because
Oh, for sure.
right, the boomers.
And so that I'm glad you kind of just as an aside, I think, because I know especially for me, this is something I've gone through. You can see men of my age, I'm almost 60, and you can see a lot of them have been really good with their money, and they've done this and that and something else. And if you've had things that you've gone through in your life where perhaps you don't have that, you can get into this thinking of, oh, I don't have value because I haven't done those right steps. I mean, I can get into these tropes of, oh, if I still had that house or if I'd done that. But what those experiences have given me is wisdom that you can't spend any kind of money to buy.
Right.
So what I have is priceless.
Again, I think a lot of this goes back to we're so obsessed with comparing ourselves to others too.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, the Joneses have that, and I see this on
And
television.
I think even as parents, right?
Yeah.
And watching other people's children and seeing like you don't know what's happening behind the scenes on any of that.
You see Timmy's parents are buying them Nikes and tablets and shit like that. So let me do that too, because they're going to be left behind.
Or even kids that appear perfect, because I appeared perfect.
Yeah.
Well, what was happening behind the scenes? No one ever would have known.
Raging whore.
Not back then.
Not back then. Okay, so 2 to 3 years that would put your daughter's birth around, or your son's birth, well, at the time, son, it would have been...
She was born in 89.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit further than I thought. So she's is that millennial? Is that or Gen Z?
I don't know.
Millennial.
I think she's right on the
Millennial.
the cusp of the next one, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Is
yeah.
so how old is she now?
She's 31, and she just married her wife, who is like third. So I consider myself as having 2 daughters now.
Oh,
So,
That's the way it should be when
Yeah.
your
Because
child marries
unluckily,
someone.
her parents had passed away here recently, so
Aw.
it's very easy for people to see dad energy with me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I tend to have a lot of kids and a lot of others, hey daddy or dad, they just think of me as father figure. So
Yeah, we've met your husband.
yeah, he's quite a bit younger. In fact, my daughter is older than he is. So
Oh, wow.
And that was never the plan, but that's the way it worked.
Yeah.
There you go. So she's born in 89. What was like early fatherhood like for you?
My first memory, besides seeing this little cone-headed purpley thing covered in goo coming out, was the first poo, because it just kept coming. I remember wiping that sweet little tuition, it just coming out and coming out and
Like a
coming out
toothpaste tape.
and coming out.
Tube.
And I was like, when does this stop?
Never. It'll take a break for a little bit, and then it'll just start again.
Yeah, it was amazing, right? And I remember turning to the doctors and being like, which one of y'all is going home with us? Because I know y'all aren't sending us home alone with this sweet little precious thing, assuming that we're going to know how to take care of her. But no, they sent us home alone.
Yeah.
Those fools.
And for me, my main thing for Heather was that I said yes every time I could. And I gave her...
No, who's Heather?
Heather's my daughter.
Daughter, okay.
Yeah,
So I wasn't sure if it was the wife or your daughter. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I gave her responsibility as early as I could. I finagled a way to give her a credit card when she was 13. And it really taught her about, it was more of a debit card type of situation, but it gave her an idea of what money was. And all that, because I remember when I went down to UAB for the orientation for parents when she went down there for college, the number one question from the parents in the audience was, how do I monitor my kids' spending? And I thought, okay, your kid is 18 years old, and
like,
now
you don't.
Now you're worried about their spending. Now you're gonna try. Now this is your concern.
Now a warning?
I'm like, it's way too late. You know what I mean? To be,
Oh, yeah.
And Heather had so many friends whose parents would send them with credit cards, and they were buying clothes and buying dinners and stereos and just racking up all this debt because they had no sense of risk. They had never been given. The kids I always saw that had the biggest problems were the ones that had the most restrictions put on them. Those are the ones that would go buck wild the first time they got a chance.
I don't know if her college, if UAB was like this, and Jenna is only going to college recently, but you went to college. Did you go to? Yeah, so
Yeah.
when I was in college, they would have fucking credit card tables around campus. Come sign up for a credit card, and I did that. And I would have it maxed out constantly, get a little bit of money, pay it off.
It's amazing the life lessons that we're not taught.
Yeah.
Like with money, and it's crazy. These very important things, and like how to see yourself and self-respect.
Right.
Yep.
These things that like change the way you look at everything. You know what I mean? Rather than can you add 2 plus 2, which I have a degree in math, so I think math's amazing. But there are other.
She's a sister because I got a degree in math too.
Oh, all right then. Let's add some stuff. Let's do some logarithms.
I'll integrate over your curve. Oh god, I just blanked out what we were talking about. Financial responsibility. Yeah.
Well, they have something called a green card that I was thinking of getting Wesley. Around 13, I was thinking would be a good time. And that's a debit card for kids.
Okay.
And they have that. I've seen commercials for him because he needs to learn. Because it's something that, like you said, they don't teach, not the checkbook thing anymore, but they don't teach, banking.
And you can tell them as many times as you want to, but until they physically experience
right.
it, and they've used that money, and then they go back and, I don't have that money to spend.
Right.
Yep.
On so they have to start prioritizing. I just was watching this thing from this financial coach, and she put expenses into wants, likes, needs, and loves. And she said in America we tend to spend all our time on wants and likes when it's needs and loves that really brings the happiness. And if we can concentrate on the needs and the loves, we're going to be in much better financial position. And you don't know that till you start doing it.
Right. Right. But yeah, I was planning on doing that with him because you control it. So he can't go buy a TV or some bullshit like that,
Right.
with his debit card.
Or you could if you let him save up enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but he has to save, but that's also not having the change and the bills and everything piling up where he's like, it burns holes in pockets, especially as kids, So it's you have a card, but do you remember how much is on the card?
Right.
And it makes him remember how much he has and
how to
all
check
that
it.
stuff. So that's what I was thinking of doing with him. So
I
since
love
you
that.
said 13 with your daughter, I figured that maybe Wesley could be 13 too.
Yes, my daughter's much more responsible than I was even
Yeah.
just a little while ago. So she's a very responsible person, and the only thing I can credit that to is giving her those early experiences and saying yes every time I could.
Right. Yeah. I act like a kid, but I'm old soul. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So like
Girl.
I've always been not somewhat. I'm very independent, and I've always taken care of myself. So I, whenever I started getting my job, I knew what I needed to do. And
Have you had situations where people were going to try to take care of you and just couldn't do it?
yes,
Yeah.
for the long.
Still does.
Well, I'm better, but for the longest time, no one my best friend at the time, he would buy me dinner. And I would get mad because I'm like, I can buy my own fucking dinner. I don't need you to buy my dinner. Blah, blah, blah. And I'd get mad about it. But then I'd have to learn, I'll buy his dinner next time and it's okay. The only scenario that I've ever, and this is stupid, but the only scenario I've ever found where I'm okay taking something from somebody is alcohol. At the bar.
And, of course, you have to give your own boundaries and things of that nature, but you can also rob people of the experience of giving.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Because your value issue that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially compliments, Jennifer.
I'm horrible with compliments.
You may compliment me all you wish. Of course, I don't know if you can get anything in edgewise from what I tell myself. So.
But I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm trying. So,
Well, I think you're beautiful and wonderful.
Aw.
Thank
and
you.
I'm very happy to be in your presence.
Oh, thank you. Gonna make me blush. Aw.
So what was Miss Heather's childhood like?
So, from her experience, from what she's told me, she's like, Dad, I don't know how you stayed married to Mom so long.
We all having a rough marriage?
Well, Deanna's a very emotional person, and I think in a lot of ways, and this is probably, I don't know that she was emotionally as stable as she could have been. Like I remember a lot of times me going and comforting Heather after her and Heather had and this is probably not, well, heck, it's my experience, so I can speak about it, right?
Yeah.
And I would just have to go, let Heather know that everything was okay. So when Heather was 8, we were walking into Hobby Lobby, which now I won't go to, they hate gay people. But anyway, I was walking into Hobby Lobby, and Heather turned to me and she said, Dad, I have something to tell you. And I was like, what? And she said, I'm bi. And I was like, okay.
How old was this?
She was 8.
She was 8.
Wow.
And I said, just don't tell your mom right now. And she's like, why? And I said, that's something, I don't want you to, I can't remember how I put it, but I just didn't want her to have a bad experience because I just knew that, it wouldn't be taken well. And Heather, and I will friggin' claw through a steel door or whatever it takes to take care of my daughter. Like my
Right.
daughter is first, number one. No one else is more important to me than that,
Right.
right? And so I was like, my daughter is not going to have a bad experience,
Right.
You know. So
If you can help it, you're gonna try to make it as
even if it's with
smooth
my wife,
as
who helped me
yeah.
produce this beautiful
Right.
child, doesn't care.
No.
Heather comes first.
That's right. Good dad. Good dad.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think just because Heather had put that out there, Dan asked her about a week or two later, you know, I can't remember what her question was, gay or whatever, you know, and Heather confessed, and it caused a lot of tension, you know what I mean?
Do you think your wife was possibly like thinking you were at the time?
So that's really interesting. That's a really interesting thing because the guy that she was dating before me turned out to be gay. And I remember one night we were lying in bed. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and Deanne turned to me and she said, "You're gay, aren't you?" And I just didn't say anything, but I thought, wow, now we can have this discussion because I mean I was a virgin when I met my wife. I did not kiss my first guy till I was 44.
Wow.
So I was faithful to her the whole time.
go.
So just because you're gay doesn't mean you're having gay sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I thought, wow, maybe we can navigate this to where we can both be happy, we can both be satisfied, and we can be within the confines of whatever we term as our relationship. But the subject just never came back up, including the next morning, and I was too afraid to bring it back up.
Oh, yeah.
So on some level, yes, I think she knew, and that's probably why she was triggered by Heather.
Right.
Was because of that. You
Yeah.
know, that fear that maybe I was.
Right.
Right. Which would a terrible way for. I mean, I'm sorry for her experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really am. You know. But it is
It's
what
always,
it is.
yeah, it's always tough for like I like your generation and older especially. I just feel like it feels sorry for both the women and men who were caught in that situation. just 'cause of the
Absolutely.
societal pressures of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that when you said that don't tell mom, I was like, I wonder if she's feeling some projection onto like your situation. So how what was like when she said that to you? How old was Heather at the time?
When Heather said that, she was.
No,
gay.
when your wife said that in bed about are you gay?
Oh, it was pretty close to right after that. So it was that was all sort of coming to a head together at the same time. So that would have been like the later 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like 97, 98, somewhere right in that period. And we actually, you know, we separated physically for a moment, though I was still to me still in the relationship. I think Deanne had a relationship or two during that time.
Right.
Which, you know, that's just the way it was. And then we got back together. We ended up getting back together. So we had kind of our ups and downs through that experience. But to me, that was still my family, and I had to hang on to it.
Right.
You know?
So she came out as bi at 8. What was her story? Like, did she come out trans later on, or?
So then she came out as lesbian in high school,
Okay.
probably around 14-ish.
Okay.
You know, she decided, you know, and then she told me after she had started at UAB, so when she was probably in her early 20s, that she felt like she was trans. And she's never done anything, but it's really interesting that all of her girlfriends have always called her sir, have always referred to her as him or he, you know, and he would. Well, she says she doesn't care how she's referred to be honest.
Okay.
So because I've asked her, I'm like, you know. So sometimes she would be referred to as Heath, which would be her male name, or however you'd say that
I kinda
correctly.
like
her
that.
dead name, yeah.
Yeah, right. So,
So
but I
is
still
she-
call her Heather.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she still goes by Heather. And everything. She hasn't officially changed anything. She hasn't done anything, but she presents. She has a fairly masculine presentation with while still looking male.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Has she medically transitioned at all?
No, she hasn't
Okay.
done anything. So that I know of.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
And she's pretty honest with me about everything. She
Right.
comes to, you know, I'm dad, so she tells me.
That's good that you guys
Yeah.
have that relationship, though.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's-
a lot of girls don't have that relationship with
Yeah,
their dads.
she's even
so.
told me, I mean, I haven't really talked about my story, but even when I was in prison, she said I was the best dad on earth, which blew my mind.
Oh,
I'm like, here I am in federal prison, and my daughter's telling me I'm the best dad. And
you're then a very awesome dad then. Because you're not there, you're somewhere else, and you're
Right.
still an awesome dad. That's
Right,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what an awesome daughter too, to
True.
be my support system.
True.
So yeah.
How did your wife handle it when she came? Or so when she came out as lesbian at 14. When was the coming out as trans?
That was
20s.
college,
like
in 20s?
1920,
Yep.
Okay.
something of that nature.
And y'all had.
I think she's been re-triggered every time. I think from the outside perspective, I can't speak for Deanne, but I mean,
Right.
from what I saw,
What you've observed,
from what
yeah.
I observed for her, it seemed like it was trauma. And it just kind of brings back up trauma. I mean, here recently, when Heather was getting married to her new wife, Deanne had this whole thing about still being mad at me for being gay, and that it was like holding her back. And I'm like, well, gosh, I gave you the house, and you're married to the man you're having an affair with me. I mean, I don't understand. You have a beautiful life. You work in the job you always wanted to go to, that we sent you to college for, and like from the outside, you have everything. I've done everything, and I realized that. At that point, it was this point of I energetically know that something can't come at you unless you're holding part of it.
Right.
So it gave me the chance to realize that I was still holding shame over it, and so it was a wonderful gift because it gave me a moment to reflect on myself and say what part of me needs healing, and told that you can release that. I mean, whether it was right or wrong or whatever, to forgive myself and get over that shame of it and move forward, and to express it authentically to others so they don't have to go through that shit.
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, yeah. But but I'm so blessed. I am so thankful for everything I've been through, because it's made me who I am today, and I've seen the impact when I'm vulnerable and authentic about my story that it's had on other people.
Yeah.
And that is such a blessing to me
Right.
that I get to experience. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's just
you
beautiful.
Just let it out.
Yeah.
Therapy.
Yes.
There you
yeah.
go.
Oh yeah. Look at y'all podcast being therapy and all that kind of stuff.
Parenting. I mean, that's that is the reason we started this podcast, because parenting is hard,
Right.
and it's like
So hard.
And we have friends that don't have kids, and like I have this one friend, Ken. If you're listening, I know you're not, but you don't give a shit about. But if I say one whiff of a complaint about being a parent, he's like, "Well, you chose this." I realize
Ouchie.
that. I was like, I realize that. I'm just venting. Like, this is just like, I love my granddaughter. I love my son. They drive me insane sometimes, and parenting is hard.
Right.
I just want to vent. And
So when he vents about like he's gained 10 pounds, we're like, well, you chose that.
yeah, I'm like, motherfucker, you chose that ice cream.
Yeah. Or he starts complaining about his young friends. He can be like, you chose that.
See,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that can come right back
Yeah,
at you.
yeah.
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
Yeah.
That's right. Ken is also like, he's an ex-therapist, so like he's real big about unsolicited advice. I'm like, baby,
You have to ask permission on
I
that,
know. I was like, I didn't ask. I
right?
just wanted to vent. Oh man, so she comes out in early 20s. So you said you separated at 17 when she was 17.
Mm-hmm.
How did like that? I mean, obviously the marriage fall apart, but like how was like the ex-wife and Heather? How did they handle were they like finally?
Oh, for me coming out?
Well, yeah, you coming out and the marriage ending.
So I'll tell my coming out story with my daughter.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Deanne had moved in with her to-be husband. So I was in the house by myself. This was right before. This is probably about a few months before I went. So I was there by myself, and Heather came to the house, and I had the front door and I had the screen door locked. Because she had a key to the front door because I had a gentleman call her. And so the doorbell kept ringing, and I finally came downstairs in a robe, and I of course let her in because it's her house too, right? And I said, so just so you know, Heather, I'm not by myself, and it's not a woman. And she's like, Dad, I love you, but I'm not surprised. I thought, oh, okay. Well, I just came out, so there you go.
Good for you.
Good for you. And good for her, too. Like,
Yeah.
just to be like, okay,
Yeah, she was just like, it's,
Accept your happiness.
yes.
yeah.
So was you coming out precipitate the separation and the divorce, or was that were you already on rocks before
No,
that?
I didn't come out until like I had completely destroyed my life. Till the divorce was happening, I lost my job, going to prison. That all happened first.
Oh, okay.
And then it was basically I know this is supposed to be a comedy.
Oh,
No,
no,
it's whatever.
it's real life.
Yeah.
I'm at the garage door with 4 bottles of pills and a bottle of Southern Comfort. I had the playlist and everything. Just gonna hop in my little PT Cruiser. Don't judge.
I'm not judging.
Turn it on, and I was just gonna fade out. right?
Okay.
And this little voice in the back of my head said, Heather will find you. And it also said to me, there's something cool around the corner.
Okay.
And so I called the Huntsville Suicide Helpline. They hung up on me 4 times.
No.
They sure did.
Ooh.
All I said was, I need hope. Your dial tone. I'd call it back. I need hope. Your dial tone. So I was desperate to live.
Yeah.
But knew I was at the point. I mean, I had that bottle of Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
Actually, or it was Southern Comfort. I can't remember if it was coconut rum or something. It was Southern Comfort. And don't judge.
I was going to say you're a bad gay if it wasn't coconut rum.
Yeah. It's going to be one or the other. And I mean, they had put me on all kinds of prescriptions because they thought I was crazy. So I had all kinds of antipsychotics and like tons of, so I had 4 different, when I say about 4 bottles of pills, each one was a different depression or antipsychotic or something.
Wow.
They thought I was nuts. And so I did this Google search, drunk as hell, for like suicide help, and found this number for this emergency room up in Tennessee, and talked to this male nurse at like 2 o'clock in the morning for like 4 hours, and he helped me.
Aww.
And
I'm
so
so glad he did.
Yeah, I am. Thank you. I am too. Thank you for that. That means I'm doing good. But I had the idea. You can step out at any time, but you can't step in. And then the other thought came to me: if you've really lost everything, you have nothing left to lose.
Right.
So why don't you just rebuild it the way it's authentic? And if it just gets to be too much, the P2 Cruiser's still there.
There you
They're
go.
still gonna think you crazy,
Right.
And you can still get Southern Comfort. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
That's
true.
It's there.
Yeah.
So but that path towards authenticity, and that opened up the door to spirituality for me, where the God sense came in me, and I understood my place in the universe and who I was and who everybody else was. I mean, it was a little overwhelming, but it was the most amazing, and it's made me who I am today, and I am so friggin' thankful for every single experience. I wouldn't take away a thing.
That's awesome.
Because I really, really dig me.
Yeah. Me too.
We like you too.
Aw.
Yeah.
Shy. I'm so shy.
So how's your relationship with your daughter and the ex-wife nowadays?
So, ex-wife, we agreed to disagree. The last time we spoke, she called me a bitch, which was the most gay-affirming thing she's ever done for me. I'm a bitch, baby.
Yes, queen.
But it's important to me for Deanne and I to get along because it affects Heather.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I understand Deanne's pain, and I understand that I contributed to that.
Yep.
I mean, we all do the very best we can in the moment.
Right.
We do our very best. Even abusers are doing the very best that they can do in the moment. That was the hardest thing for me in therapy, was to understand that my abusers are doing the very best thing in their moment, right? And allowing that point of forgiveness. So I will always love Deanne. She's an amazing person, amazing woman, and she birthed the most gorgeous, human being that we bless the earth with in the entire world. You know what I mean? And Heather. So Heather always comes to the things that I've gone through in my life quicker than I have. So right now she's having some spiritual things. She's always had this very logical brain, you know what I mean? And I do too, because I have a math degree.
Right.
But then like when things start happening around you that you can no longer like
Put
not
logic
see.
to it.
Yeah, put
Yeah.
logic to. Mm-hmm. And I think it's been great for us because she knows that she can turn to me. And number one, I'm not going to think it's weird. And number two, I've experienced it before.
Right.
So our bond is, I think, stronger than ever. And they're currently in the process of preparing to become pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So I will be grandpapa, and my wedding present to them was a Coach diaper bag, just so that they would understand this child is gonna be ruined. This child gonna be no good for her grandpa. Ain't gonna be nobody could be good enough for her except for grandpa.
That's hilarious. So she went to where does she live now?
They live in Alabaster, which I really wish
Is
they
that
moved.
is that Alabama?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's about 30 minutes below Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So it's about a 2-hour drive, and
Yeah.
I really like them to move closer, because especially if you have a baby, I'm going to want to, and they said, well, we want you to come help as much as, like, yeah, but you're 2 hours away.
Right.
So logically speaking, I would really, because they're both in healthcare, and I'm like, y'all could move back to Huntsville, just saying, and we'd be close. But
We have lots of hospitals here and
right?
everything else.
Yeah, but they just love that Birmingham area. They love Alabaster because it's kind of a residential residential, bedroom community type, so it's quiet. They have a bigger yard than they would normally have, and
Gotcha.
that kind of thing. So
Shit, come to this neighborhood. We got some giant fucking yards.
So yeah, she has, she married a beautiful young woman that really supports her, and so they're really getting they're rocking it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
Really rocking it.
Oh, I'm glad it ended on a happy note. And
Yeah.
and nowadays that you're out and proud and out of prison and have a healthy child and somewhat okay. How's your life been lately?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe it can get better. And it does. I mean, I just came back from 2 workshops. I guess I'm like, oh my God, I got back crying from the first one. I'm like, I'm going to another one next week. What am I thinking of myself? But it just unlocked all these doors in myself. I found out I found out my mission in life. I found out why I'm here. And I was telling y'all earlier about the experiences of having some amazing joys right next to some amazing sorrows, and understanding that I can maintain a sense of peace in both of them,
Right.
to where I can understand the joy that's possible in both experiences.
Right.
I mean, if you feel deep sorrow, it's because there's something that you really love.
Right.
Right? And if you didn't love anything, you'd never experience sorrow.
True.
So the ability for us to have love and to have something to love, that's an amazing blessing right there. And I became just bosom buddies, soul buddies with amazing men up there, and it's changed my relationship with my body, with myself. I used to be very transactional. That's the way I was built, and I think in the States, especially for gay men, we're taught to, like, I would rate people on whether or not I'd fuck them. Like I would
think
see
that's
somebody
most
get
people,
hired
right?
for a job, and I'd be like, "Why did they hire him? I'd never fuck him." and that would be like an immediate thought, and then I'd be like, "That is sick as hell." But that would be where my brain was. Like
Right.
that was just the first thing I'd think. Like, was that if you got you only got something good based upon your looks,
Right.
and whether you're fuckable or not,
Right.
Well, if you've been suppressing yourself for years too,
Yeah.
it's like that's the only thing on your brain probably
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but this weekend, I mean, part of a lot for me, a lot of the experience was to find love in everyone you met. And I mean, there were men there with like 75 in wheelchairs, and then there were 25-year-old gorgeous men, and to be able to look in the eyes of a 75, whatever, look in the eyes of somebody that maybe at first you wouldn't be attracted to, or maybe you were kind of concerned that they might be attracted to you,
Right.
and to be able to express through your eyes that they had value and they had worth, and to find something to love inside of them was transformational. Because now I know that my mission in life is to show unconditional love in every moment, to ask, what would love say? What would love think? What would love do? And that doesn't mean I'm giving over all my money.
Right.
It doesn't mean I'm a pushover.
Right.
Because a mama bear who protects her cub, that's love too.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? So
As
love
Jennifer
love
knows.
isn't always
Yes.
pretty.
No, it's not.
no.
But just be able to to do that. I hesitate to tell you how that really came through, because it's kind of I spiritually I'm probably very out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You do whatever you want to do.
Okay, so
You're our
no
guest,
judge- here's-
Pete. However much
Hey,
you
well,
want.
I'm vulnerable. I just like, I don't want to freak
Yeah,
anybody
no
out. but
judgment.
I don't think
it'd
you're
be-
gonna freak
she be what
anybody out, but,
she is who she is,
Well,
right?
we'll just say this: if you don't want to hear Pete's story, then just like fast forward maybe like 30
Yeah.
seconds, a minute.
There we go, that was
something like
it.
that. There you go.
So years ago in a meditation, a lover from a past life came to who tells me to call him Paul, which I found out later it's because we were on a plane of existence that I can't vocalize his name. That's why he goes by Paul.
Okay.
So during this experience, one of the first true tantric workshops, my partner was somebody that looks very much like Joe, my husband. So it made me comfortable. Like
Okay.
I was
Right.
comfortable in that space.
Right.
And oh goodness, getting shivers. Paul came through to me through this young gentleman in the most physical way that I've experienced in his body. And basically our story, Paul's and my story, was Paul got sick and I got scared and I left. When I came back, he was dead. And I've carried this guilt through many lifetimes. And that's the
Wow.
interesting thing about guilt and shame is and anger. It's never about the action that happened. It's always past trauma that you're trying to that you're using this as an excuse to redisplay.
Right.
So I've been carrying this guilt and this shame and this anger myself through I don't know how many different and Paul let me know that number one, he unconditionally loves me and I have nothing to feel sorry for. But then he told me my mission here on earth was to show that unconditional love that he shows to others. Yes. And that was just, I mean, I was bawling like I was bawling so hard. The facilitator had to come over to 3 different times and like, can you continue? Are you okay? I mean, I was like almost on the floor, like weeping and renting and like about to tear my head. Like I was at that point of destruction that allows you to rebuild.
Right.
You know, I was there, and I was so blessed to be surrounded by men that could, number one, handle that, not be freaked out,
right,
and just be able to hold space for me to allow me to work my way through that.
And to just check on you and just let you do you.
I was held physically the whole time.
Yeah.
But then to have so many that just came over, and even through the day later would come over and just and that's the great thing is I've learned now how you know it's not like I stay in that space. Like
right.
I can move into joy, which may sound psychotic, but you know I can move into these other spaces really, really quickly because I'm allowed to let that go.
Right.
I'm not going to suffer in it. I'm going to experience it. But experiencing isn't suffering. Suffering is holding on to it, not letting it go.
Right.
I let it go. Yeah. And just, just words can't express.
Well, I mean, I think you did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. So I mean,
sounds like you went through the fire.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm so blessed to have, wow.
And now you know a way of just being able to look at someone and be like, okay, I'm not going to rate you, but I find this that I love about you,
exactly,
or this that I love about
exactly.
you,
Exactly. And
that.
if you can,
and it's not
you
physical,
can,
it's
and without even
something.
words, if you
right.
can if you can express to someone just through your energy field how lovable they are,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without even touching them or looking at them, you don't have to look at them. You just have to just be there. Just
give that vibe off.
Give that vibe off,
yeah.
and feel their vibe. You can get to where you can feel theirs too, and you can kind of interplay with it. It's super sexy.
Oh. Ooh.
I know. I was at the gym today, and I was passing by a guy that was doing. He was on a machine, and he was just this male energy was just like coming, and I just like walked by, just like wafting it. I was like, oh my goodness, girl, where are my pearls at? I need to clutch. I'm having the vapors.
About to break down again.
I know, it's delicious.
Well, that is a perfect segue into our next section. So, to all our listeners, if you have any funny stories about your kids,
or if you need some bad parenting advice, or if you have any subjects that you want us to talk about
and discuss,
yes,
email us at guidetopoorparenting@gmail.com. So, guidetopoorparenting@gmail.com, all one word.
Yep.
You want to tell us about what we're been snacking on?
We've been snacking on some yummy gouda.
Yes.
Some gouda cheese.
We went to Trader Joe's last night. I saw the wine. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. It said, enjoy with smoked gouda. Like, we wouldn't mind smoked gouda. But
yeah,
we
just got some gouda. And then I'm eating mine with some crackers because I don't like just cheese by itself. I gotta have a little bit of...
Is your cracker lacking?
Yes. Cracker lacking. Yes.
Oh, my pneumonia. I actually do have. I'm getting over walking pneumonia.
Oh, gee.
It's okay.
I send you healing.
Oh, thank you. I accept it into my poor lungs. So now we've done snack time. Let's do story time. Peach, do you have a fun story about Miss Heather growing up or kids in your lives or anything like that?
So I guess probably the funnest thing when I think about little Heather is the time she tried to be a girl. You know, that little period where she wore dresses and I mean, I'm talking about her experience, but I guess it's just, looking.
that's okay.
How old was she?
So she was probably 5, 6. Yeah. So she was like in first grade. Yeah, first grade. Yeah. And she had a boyfriend and, it was like, number one, being a parent and like having the fun of watching them express themselves, but at the same time going, this just isn't right.
Normal.
Well, it just didn't seem correct for her.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't normal. It's just like it didn't seem to match. Like one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
One of these things is just not the same. So it was just like, but yeah, that's really the only thing. Besides my funny coming out story, I can't really think of anything else.
Do we have any good stories lately? Think of anything that happened?
The last
I mean, I've got a list in my phone, but I didn't
Yeah,
figure anything out. Trying to think if anything happened in the last week or two.
our kids are just mean to you all the time.
God. Oh, so we've had a problem. So Kalia, my granddaughter, and Wesley, her son, go to Blossomwood Elementary here in Huntsville, and they're in after school together. So they see each other every day. And Wesley, she drops him off in the morning, and then I take them to school. They have the worst fucking habit of telling each other's shit.
Business.
Constantly. Oh my God. Kalia was like ratting. She's like, well, you pissed the bed. And then Wesley
she didn't say pissed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
pretty sure
to the
she didn't say
listeners.
pissed.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mom. But yeah.
She's spreading all the gossip about Wesley. And then at fall camp break last week, Wesley's like, well, your mom doesn't live with you, or you don't live with your mom. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, would y'all do? Stop.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're brother and sister. So they play well. Like right now, you don't hear them. They're playing well. And then sometimes it's just, stop looking at me. Why are you looking at me like that? Just stop. He's just looking.
Do you think it's like a safe sandbox for them to be able to experience different ways of human relating? Because they know they're in a safe space to do that?
Probably.
Probably. And then also, Kalia really wants to be Wesley's friend. And she is.
Yeah.
And Wesley is her friend when they're here. But
when you
they get
introduce
to
other
school,
kids.
or they're around other kids, Wesley's not her friend.
He's too cool
because
for that.
he's older and he doesn't, I don't want to hang out with the younger sister. And in essence, I guess that's kind of how he feels. That it's the young one that's, bothering him while he's with his friends.
Yeah.
With the cool kids.
Right. And I'm like, no, you need to take up for her. Like if someone jokes on her, don't laugh and just help. Because she does so much nice stuff for you when we hang out here on the weekends.
Oh, I do have a funny story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I do remember. So Heather was, this is hilarious. To me, it's hilarious. Junior high. So the first time that we were walking around the halls, like introducing her, and the assistant principal, the second place, right?
Yep.
And I said, you will know her. You'll know her. And he was like, he just thought it was funny. He's like, ha 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 ha. About 3 weeks later, Heather's in his office because some little boy had been picking on her, and Heather stood up in class and said, "So-and-so is an asshole."
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I taught her to stand up for herself. So he called me on the phone, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and he told me that she was in there, and I asked him what had happened. And I said, "May I speak to my daughter, please?" And he said, "Absolutely." And Heather picked up the phone and said, "Yeah." "He's still looking at you?" And I kept saying it until she started laughing. She couldn't hold it in anymore. And I can't remember how the conversation ended, but the assistant principal died of a heart attack 2 weeks later.
Oh,
so
shit.
I killed him.
Oh, you killed him?
I killed him.
Because he was looking at her.
How dare you look at my daughter? Look into the face of death.
Patricia.
But I mean, if she had, I always taught Heather that, you don't pick on, but if somebody picks on you, I will support you 100.
Right.
100. So when I found out she was just standing up for herself, there's no way in hell I was going to be mad at my child.
Because the bad thing about that whole thing is the first kid that did something that she stood up for herself for didn't get in trouble.
Nothing.
She did because she
Right.
stood up for herself, but the first kid, nothing.
Right. And all she did was stood up and just called a spade a spade.
There you go.
That's all she did.
Well, maybe if she just called him a spade and not an asshole, maybe she wouldn't have been
I thought it was very effective.
That little boy is a spade. By spade, I mean asshole.
And so I do have another story, actually.
Go ahead.
Okay. So in high school, this is when Bob Jones had just been built fairly recently, and there was a new principal there. Mm-hmm. We used to have a friend that would take Heather to school, and she came to us and she said, "I can't take Heather to school anymore." And I said, "Why?" And she said, the principal is saying things about Heather when she gets out, and people are looking at me a certain way. So I made an appointment with the principal, didn't tell him why, and came into his office, and I said, "I'd like to know what you have against my daughter." And he said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "I have from one of my very dearest friends who will no longer bring Heather to school because you said this, this, and this and treated her like that." And he was just like, ah, 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 ah. And I said, "Oh, and by the way, I was in here while you were making announcements, and I heard about the football team, I heard about the cheerleaders, but I didn't hear about the art competition that happened yesterday. I didn't hear about anything else besides the football and the cheerleaders." And I said, "I think that's very interesting." Mm-hmm. And the next day, Heather came up to me and she said, the principal came up to me. I was like, oh, did he? And she said, and he congratulated me for being in the art school, the art show. And I was like, oh, did he? Okay, because I didn't tell her I went.
Right.
I didn't tell her I was going, and I didn't tell her I went.
Huh. Good dad.
And I still didn't tell her.
Yeah.
Is that principal dead from a heart attack?
Yeah.
I guess he was too young, but he were a little cute. We might have had a little, nothing but about 2 weeks in the dungeon with a St. Andrew's cross wouldn't have fit.
Hey, there you go.
That's good therapy, girl.
There you go.
Pete, the killer of principals.
I know, right?
Oh, this is
www.killtheprincipal.com if you want my services.
There you go.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Oh, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm drunk. Thank you so much for coming out, Pete. This has been fun.
I'm coming out. Who knew I had another coming out to do?
What?
More.
There
There's
you
more.
go. There's
There you
more.
go.
There's always more.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you to all our listeners, all 4 of you, for listening to A Guide to Poor Parenting.
If you like our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
And if you don't like our podcast, just like we tell our kids, when they whine about one of them won't stop looking at the other one.
Tough shit.
Bye.
Bye.